This is the as yet untitled PBS Kids podcast here on patreon.com/Elwood City Limits. And this week, we're going back to, well, one of our childhoods. At least I believe so. We've gone back to mine. My name's Will Young. My childhood has certainly been under the microscope a time or two. But I say it's time to learn a bit more about the man they call Lucas Mancini.
That's right. My favorite subject, myself. No, I'm kidding. It's funny, Fetch. So, and we talked a little bit. Let's just get into it, Will. Let's just get right into it.
Yeah, you're hyped.
I'm hyped. I'm ready to go. So Fetch actually, I feel like I've never actually sat down and watched a full episode of Fetch. I'll come clean, full disclosure. But when I used to watch PBS shows like Arthur when I was a kid, Fetch would have been the show that was constantly advertised. I feel like it was on right before, I would have gotten home from school. So I always, caught the end of Fetch on my commute. Or it was, after a show I like to watch. But I remember seeing ads for Fetch all the time. Specifically, and we talked a little bit about this in the Discord. There was all these promos for Fetch that were based on, classic rock songs.
Okay. Oh, yes. You know what? In the Discord, I believe it was Matt, put up a promo, and sorry if this was somebody else, not Matt, put up a promo, and it was to Whip It by Devo.
Yeah, so there's Whip It by Devo. There's one that's by Start Me Up by the Rolling Stones, where it's Fetch is starting up in the fall. That's the one I really remember. This could just be the real song, and I'm my brain is rotting, but I feel like there was one that was Fetch, ooh, ooh, ooh. Just like that song, that just might be that real song, though, actually. Except they don't say Fetch. They say something else.
Okay. I can't exactly tell from that impression there, so...
No, but in your defense, it was terrible. But, so I think I was under the impression that I had only known the Ruffman segments. I don't think I was actually familiar with the fact that it's kind of a game show. But not, as we'll get into when we're talking about this, not really.
No, it's a very loose interpretation of a game show. Because, listen, you and I'm sure, when we were kids, and maybe even still today, watched a lot of game shows, both targeted at kids and just in general.
Yeah, I would say so. I like game shows.
Yeah.
I would go home at lunch from school in elementary school, and I would watch Price is Right every lunch.
Price is Right, yeah. It was right on at noontime, so I would do the same thing.
Regis Philbin era Who Wants to Be a Millionaire was big with my family. What else?
Wheel of Fortune at 7 and Jeopardy at 7:30.
Never been a Wheel of Fortune guy. Never been.
Interesting.
The most I've ever liked Wheel of Fortune is that Deezus and Mero bit where they're watching the college episode of Wheel of Fortune and the guy keeps getting everything wrong.
Oh, yes.
That's the most, though. Jeopardy, I will watch Jeopardy. I was excited when they added Jeopardy to Netflix. I will watch an episode of Jeopardy in 2020. I like Jeopardy quite a bit.
Jeopardy rules. I love Jeopardy. Yeah, I wonder is it possible to pinpoint what about a game show that you like the best? What is it that goes into the game shows that you love?
That's a really good question. I think it's just what skill they're testing, right? So in Jeopardy, it's just it's simple, it's trivia, and I enjoy trivia. So I feel and also Jeopardy, I feel like I'm learning when I watch it, which is always a fun thing. Wheel of Fortune, I feel like it's just popcorn. I'm dyslexic, so I don't even like word searches in the first place.
That's
fair. I feel like I'm at a psychological disadvantage.
And they're not easy. They're always I find the clues are a little too vague, so it's a bit hard to play along with.
And then I think Price is Right is just the stimuli. Just you're watching the lights are going, there's the sounds, they got the announcer, the crowd's going nuts.
Well, and there's the variety of games on display, and something I love about game shows is when there are physical, tangible prizes. I love Jeopardy, but the cash prize, it's always a little vague. But when you have Price is Right, and it's you will win this specific thing.
A year's supply
cool.
of Rice-A-Roni, the San Francisco treat.
Totally. Or a new car or anything like that. Yeah. So I've had my time with game shows too. I'm trying to remember. There was I don't know why I remember this one. There was a summer where Chris Jericho hosted a game show called
Hole in the-
Downfall.
Oh, no, Downfall. For a second, I was like, was it Hole in the Wall? Because I remember that was also a Fox show that was only on for one season where people had to fit into a moving hole. Very similar to Downfall. Downfall was the one where the prize would fall off the building if they didn't get the question right in time, correct?
That's right.
God.
It was kind of fun.
TV is just wild.
Yeah,
Now there's like game shows like I don't watch a lot of network television. There's like the Shazam game show.
Yeah. The singing competition. There's Steph Curry's mini golf game that was on a summer or two ago. That was actually kind of fun and very silly.
I am shocked I didn't know this existed.
It's, you know what?
Crazy.
Like look it up. I'm sure if you Wikipedia Steph Curry, it'll tell you. I forget the name of it, but it was fun. Like it was just very, very, again, very popcorny.
But so Fetch with Ruffman, it presents its, well, they say it's a game show, but it's actually not. It's more similar to like a variety show, like something like Popular Mechanics for Kids, or like almost like Zoom or something, where it's like, okay, let's get these kids and they're gonna go do a thing. And like it's kind of like Whose Line Is It Anyway, where it's like the scores are completely arbitrary. Yeah. It's just like whatever Fetch decides, and like so here's a big question here, Will. So the main conceit of the show is that Fetch is hosted by Ruffman, our cartoon dog.
Yep.
And there's multiple points in the show where Fetch is interacting with the kids. Yeah. And something I found myself wondering was, what do you think came first? The dog segments and the kids segments? Because at first that seems like really simple. You're like, well, obviously they animated all the dog parts first, because there's parts where Fetch is giving them instructions and the kids are acting like they're receiving instructions from Fetch, and obviously that part had to be animated for the kids to see it. But then there's other parts later on in the episode where the kids are talking to Fetch and he's reacting to stuff they're saying.
So I looked this up, and this actually kind of segues into the informational part of the episode, which we kind of do at the top here. So basically, the answer to your question, Lucas, is that if I read this correctly, it's that the kids would interact with the voice of Ruffman, kind of talking over a speaker. Although on the show, it looks like they're interacting with him through the TV. They're kind of just, he's speaking to them, and then they will animate that audio later. So he can do a little bit of the ad-libbing kind of thing, and then they can just animate whatever he says later. And then there are other parts that are purely animated that they will just do like a normal cartoon.
So that leads me to this point, which is that the Ruffman performance is incredible. It's really good. It's great stuff. This show is nothing without the guy who voices Ruffman. That's like the one thing that's immediately apparent. Just like this show, I mean, not to put the cart before the horse here, it's a little bit boring. It's definitely for an audience younger than us. You know, we're the Arthur people. We talk about it all the time, that Arthur is kind of like a step above other PBS kids shows in terms of being entertaining as an adult. But the one thing that really, really stands out is the vocal performance of Ruffman is like natural. Like his delivery is natural in a way that you don't actually often see, especially in kids animation, where like his personality really, really comes through the vocal performance and the mannerisms and like the quips, and like it's just really his timing is impeccable.
So interestingly enough, that's actually one of the writers of the show. So of course, Fetch with Ruffman was a show that aired on PBS from 2006 to 2010, which is when the episodes were filmed and produced. It actually aired until 2013 when it was taken off of PBS block. It was created by someone named Kate Taylor, and the show actually won an Emmy in 2008 for its theme song.
Well, let's talk about the theme song. Will, what did you think about the Fetch with Ruffman theme song?
I liked it. It's real smooth, very jazzy.
Yeah.
You like jazz?
I like a theme song that gives you the backstory of the show in the theme song, right?
That for me can be a little hit or miss, but I'm totally fine with this one. It helped especially because this is probably the only episode of the show I'll be watching.
Yeah, you know exactly what's going on by the time we get past the theme song of Fetch with Ruffman. The Ruffman's voice, Jim Conroy, also in the film Rio 2, sequel to Rio.
Yes.
And Grand Theft Auto 4. Or is that 5? No, that's 4.
4.
Who did he play in Grand Theft Auto 4? Let's see.
I'll also
Butch.
mention...
Someone named Butch.
I'll also mention that the show was primarily also written by Glenn Berger, who has writing credits on Arthur, and also wrote the book for the Broadway musical Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark.
Oh my goodness.
So there you go. One of the main writers of Ruffman is behind that certain Broadway. Is disaster too harsh? Can I use that?
No, I think it was a disaster. I wonder if because he was a writer on the show, they let him ad-libbed a lot with the he's probably ad-libbing a lot within his reactions to the kids, right? So
yeah, that's kind of my question. Is that I wonder if he got a writing credit because of what he added to the show, or if he started as a writer and a voice actor.
Either way, I think we both could agree this show is nothing without Mr. Conroy or Mr. Ruffman himself. I found myself. We talk about this when we talk about Postcards with Buster. How as kids when we were watching that show, we were just kind of frustrated that it wasn't a cartoon. Well, I found myself thinking that way watching this show as an adult. I was like pretty engaged by any part where it was just like Ruffman talking, and then all the stuff with the kids, I was a little bit bored.
Well, yeah, I think you make a really good point, and that's kind of the idea behind a lot of game shows aimed at kids is that if the host isn't there, then like nobody's entertained. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. And what's without
Wink Yahoo?
Wink Yahoo? Nothing.
No, exactly. You need the energy, and you need to be like funny, but not like obviously it's a very certain level of being funny. And I think you're right. Jim Conroy gives a really fun performance. It's a lot of energy. Like he has to like pretty much be able to go on a dime anywhere from, because like the opening of the show is completely animated. The episode that we're talking about is called Saturday Night with a Slight Fever, and Ruff is supposed to have a celebrity guest on the show, but he cancels, and so it's him on the phone being like, oh no, I gotta get somebody for the show, I gotta and it's just like, it's like really, really vivacious.
You hit the nail on the head. Ruff's making this soup, and I haven't had supper yet, so I'm like, damn, Ruff's soup's looking good. And also, okay, so here's another major plot point of the Ruffman show. Ruffman's just racist against cats.
Yeah, I mean, hey, that's kind of your that's your typical that's your layup joke for a show about a dog is don't like cats.
Yeah.
So it's one of the one of those kind of jokes that we can and often do make. Even though I feel like we're beginning to buck that stereotype these days. I feel like dogs and cats can get along.
So yeah, Ruff, he enlists the help of, we're introduced to our kids, and that's what I realized this show is kind of like Jeopardy in the sense that, I don't know what I was expecting, maybe different guests every time, but apparently it's the same kids every time.
It's the same kids for like a full season.
Yeah. So you kind of, I wonder if you see those like rivalries grow, similar to Jeopardy style. It seems like one girl has been at the top of the pack, for like 4 episodes straight or something. Bet it's like the producer's like daughter or something. Like, all the politics that go into these kids shows.
Well, sure. I will say at least that all the kids seem to at least play nice for the cameras. And I do have a fact about one of the kids. I believe this is in the first season that we're watching this. So one of the kids who was heavily featured, Taylor.
And which one is Taylor?
Taylor was the girl who went out to film the music video.
Oh, okay.
So Taylor was actually also on season 7 of Zoom.
Ooh, another favorite. Maybe we'll get to that in our untitled PBS show someday.
Oh, definitely we will. We might get to it a couple of times if we want to talk about like different eras of Zoom. So we'll get to it. So I got to ask you. So we get the lineup of kids. I think there is like 7 of them. No, 6. There's like 6 or 7 of them. Who was your early pick? Who did you want to win?
So, well, and I feel like this is going to come as no surprise. Immediately, there's one kid that, Taylor might be the one with the longest career, but my boy, besides Ruffman, the star of this show is Brian. Okay.
Brian. Wow.
Brian.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, yeah, the redheaded kid. First of all,
the Boston kid.
So yeah, you could make a pretty good supercut of every time this kid says the word potty in this episode, because they're talking about Saturday Night Party or whatever the Aaron Carter song is.
And we got a Patty.
Patty. He says Patty every single time, and it's just incredible.
It's as thick as pea soup, that accent.
Also, the casualness of the way he like addresses everybody, like when he's talking to Ruffman's like, "Do you guys know anybody famous?" And he's like, "Why though? Why you asking?" And I'm like, "This kid,
kids get a little mouthy sometimes, and they just like, why, who's asking over here, Ruff? What's she talking about? I don't even know what that one is."
Yeah, but there's parts where Brian's like, yeah, Brian I think is the most mean to Ruff. Like there's like a part where he's like looking into the camera and he's like, "Really, Ruff? We're doing it." Like Brian was an early fave for me.
Okay, so right away I had two favorites. I was behind Khalil and Noah. Like Khalil seemed cool. I wish that the episode had a bit more of him. Didn't get much of his personality.
No.
Noah,
Khalil's highlight line was he got a hug from Romeo Corral.
Now is that Kid Romeo?
I thought so. I didn't look it up. Let's look it up right now.
Sure.
Kid Romeo,
because we get a couple of really choice mid-2000s music references in here, and so I would not be surprised at all if that were Kid Romeo.
So Romeo Crennel is a American football assistant head coach for the Houston Texans. He's been the head coach of the Cleveland Browns and the Kansas City Chiefs.
Well, I don't know. The little kid rapper's name was Kid Romeo, right? Because are
you thinking of Lil Romeo?
Lil Romeo, that's who I'm thinking of. Sorry, Kid Romeo was a WCW wrestler.
Lil Romeo's name is Romeo Miller, so I think this kid's talking about the football coach.
Oh, okay. I just assumed it was Lil Romeo, and I'm just like, okay, weird that you're using his government name, but okay. Maybe about that point.
He's on a first name basis with Romeo. That's how friendly he is. But no. Some weird pop culture references in this show. There's a part we're skipping around here, pretty informal. It's a part way later on where they're talking. They're kind of talking about who is going to be the celebrity to show up. And the names they throw out are like JoJo, which makes sense for the time period and the age of these kids, and then like Ben Stiller.
Ben Stiller, which kind of makes sense. He was doing a couple, like, maybe the kids have seen Dodgeball or something like that.
Yes, I feel like when I was in elementary school, like, I might have known who Ben Stiller was, but I feel like none of my peers would have.
Well, and I should also mention that these kids are usually around 10 to 12 years old, so there's a better chance that they might have seen a couple Ben Stiller flicks in the mid-2000s. What I was a little surprised by was Brian, who's just like, who's it gonna be? Joe Perry, Run DMC? And I'm like, Brian, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
I was like double your age before I knew about them.
That's just when Brian really endeared himself to me. Again, Brian is just my fave.
I want to take it back a little bit here. There's a couple of really good lines, and a lot of it has to do with the repartee between the kids and Ruffman. One of them, like, so Ruff's like trying to find a celebrity guest, and he's like, "Do you happen to know anybody who is a celebrity?" And one of the kids is like, "I have a cousin who has a cousin who's a rapper." And Ruffman's like, "Don't we all?"
Yeah, that's more true now than ever.
Also, let's go back to your boy Brian for a second here. Did you see the moves that Brian had when he found out, like, he does it when he finds out that the guy that they visit is a video director, and then he does it when he's kind of like nervous. It seems like a little bit of a nervous thing, but he kind of like does the shoulder shimmy and like busts a move. Like, I understand why you kind of got behind him. He's a real character, that Brian.
No, yeah, that's Brian. All team Brian for me in terms of the Ruffman show.
They even pointed out later, so I thought that, like, they make him the choreographer. So the idea is that they take Taylor, Brian, and Noah. So I guess through every episode, they take some of the kids out to do like a field trip kind of special mission in order to get more points, while the kids who stay behind get to do like they did like a quiz this time about stuff that was on the show. So they meet a music video director who recently directed a video for Aaron Carter.
That's right. Now, do we know what year this episode came out?
2000. So if this is in the first season, this probably would have been around 2006.
So I feel like Aaron Carter was past his prime. circa 2006.
Well, that's the thing, and I feel like we have to have kids. Aaron Carter was a moderately famous pop star in the late 1990s and early 2000s. Because I mean, it's funny looking back at Aaron Carter's old stuff because he really does seem like proto Bieber in a way.
Oh yeah,
but he was never as big as Bieber was or is.
Oh, I think so. I think there was a year or two. No, dude, there was a year or two. Maybe even it's because you're a little bit older, but there was a year or two where like Aaron's Party, Come Get It was like massive. It was like the biggest thing in the world.
Oh, okay. Let me at least say then that he wasn't as big for as long as Bieber has been.
Far more of a flash in the pan. But I feel like Aaron's Party Come Get It was 2000, and so I think that was peak Aaron Carter. So we're quite a bit past kind of his reign on top. But like Aaron's Party Come Get It was I think in my I was even a little young at the time. I would have been like 5 in 2000. Really dating me here, but I remember that was like a babysitter's favorite. You know what I mean?
Okay.
This was like, that video was on both the videos for Aaron's Party and How I Beat Shaq and I Want Candy were like on TV all the time. He was like the it guy.
I guess you're right. I think I was a little bit too old, and I definitely was never into Aaron Carter as much as I was his brother Nick and the Backstreet Boys. So I never really paid much attention to him. He was a little too kiddie around the time where I was kind of starting to grow up a little bit, because in 2000 I would have been 10 or 9 going on 10. Aaron Carter, also worth mentioning, recently showed up in Nova Scotia. Do you remember hearing about that?
Yeah, so, and I don't want to spend too much time about this because it's a little bit depressing, but Aaron Carter's had quite the downturn as of late.
Yeah, it's a little sad.
Yeah, I think he's struggling with some mental health stuff. You know, he's got a pretty, don't look up his Twitter. He seems like he's in a bad spot. And there was this big publicity stunt where he was going to move to where we live, which was big news around here because celebrities don't often move to Halifax, Nova Scotia, because apparently he's got family here or something. But it turns out they were like, okay, he bought this really expensive property on this island. And then it turns out maybe he didn't actually buy this expensive property on the island. And that went back. That was the news cycle. This was this past summer. And then he played a couple shows here. And I know some people personally who met him backstage, and he seemed like he was a very unpleasant individual. But yeah, so that's kind of the Aaron Carter. All that being said, Will, How I Beat Shaq, incredible song.
Never really listened to that one as much. I can think of It's Aaron's Party, Come Get It quite clearly, but That's How I Beat Shaq, never really listen to it.
Well, if you ever would wonder, how did little old Aaron Carter beat Shaq at basketball?
Was it like Magic Sneakers or something, or was that like Mike?
Because let me tell you, Will, he pretty in detail outlines how he beat Shaq. It's kind of the premise.
His 12-point system for how he beat Shaquille O'Neal.
Let's see. Yeah, I beat Shaq, and so could you. Let's see just how Aaron beat Shaq. Okay, and we're gonna pull this up on Genius too, so I can really get behind the lyrics here.
Of course.
He was hanging out, just playing some ball, working on his game. Now, in this song, he describes Shaq as 12'3". Have to imagine that's an exaggeration. Don't think that's possible. He said, talking some smack to Shaquille O'Neal. Stared at Shaq, psych him out. I said, O'Neal, you're in my house now.
Man.
So also
I wouldn't dare.
Referencing that he also had a party at his house, if you remember correctly.
I'm to understand it was his party.
Okay, here he goes. He really lays it out right here. So this is how he beat Shaq. Well, it's like, boom, I put it in the hoop. Pretty simple. You got to be scoring. Yeah. You score some dunks.
The basics done brilliantly.
Yeah. Like slam, I hear the crowd screaming. So he's on fire. He's heating up. He's got a head full of steam. Now, out jam, I swear I'm telling you facts, because that's how I beat Shaq. So essentially, he scored more points.
I mean, it's deceptively simple, but that is kind of all there is to it.
At one point, he says, yo, Shaq, you didn't tie your shoelace. Shaq looks down like a fool. and Aaron steals the ball and hits a
like the man's
three-pointer.
never played street ball before. Like, come on now.
Dunk after dunk, jam after jam. The announcers were shocked. They could not believe it was real.
They were shacked. Ooh. And I know he was a little kid and everything, but you can't be too stingy with the Shaq attack.
Okay, so, and I apparently had forgotten this. I guess I really never listened to the lyrics of this song. Plot twist, final verse. It was all a dream, and he did not beat Shaq.
Disclaimer: I did not actually beat Shaq. Come on.
I guess that kind of thing could never happen to me.
Oh man.
Wait a minute. But then he wakes up. If it was a dream and it wasn't real, how'd I get a jersey with the name O'Neal? Whoa. So I guess it's really up to the audience's interpretation if he actually beat Shaq or not. It's like the end of Inception.
It's the greatest filmmakers and lyricists keep you guessing till the very end and long after the credits roll.
Yeah, you really have to bring yourself to how I beat Shaq and come to your own conclusions. Much like we have to come to our own conclusions about Fetch with Ruffman. Now, Will, when I learned, so Ruffman kind of lets them know the challenge this week is they're going to be making a music video. And the first thing I thought of was the Sega CD game Marky Mark Make My Video. Are you familiar?
Make My Video. Yes. There was Marky Mark and there was one for CNC Music Factory.
And In Excess. There was an In Excess one as well.
Oh, that's right. Yes. So I never played them myself, but I am familiar with them.
I'm really only familiar with the Marky Mark one because I've seen like Giant Bomb play it. I've actually seen that game Let's Played a lot of times. It seems terrible, but it's funny. I was kind of hoping, it's funny, Marky Mark Make My Video has a little bit more interaction with you from Marky Mark than, for instance, I thought this episode, when I first heard that we were going to be watching the Aaron Carter episode of Ruffman, and with all this hullabaloo of Ruffman finding a celeb, I had my hopes set on Aaron Carter actually showing up at some point in this episode.
Yeah, me too, because it seemed like, the mid-2000s, maybe even late 2000s, what's Aaron Carter doing?
Nothing. It's
especially because this was also brought up in the Discord. Aaron Carter did the theme song for another PBS Kids show around this time, Liberty's Kids.
It was probably like in his contract, like that if he does the theme song for Liberty's Kids, they have to advertise his new music video on Fetch with Ruffman, some sort of, marketing sort of ploy. Yeah, like this is 6 years.
But he can get his ass down here and do that himself. You know what I mean?
I agree. Like if me and you wanted to have Lil Bow Wow, now going by Bow Wow, on Elwood City Limits, it could happen. It would not be that hard.
Yeah, if indeed. See, yes, you're right. They are going to be doing their own version of Saturday Night by Aaron Carter, their own version of music video, but they can only do it for $30.
Had you heard Saturday Night by Aaron Carter before? I have not.
Never.
Thoughts? Would you like the song?
It's fine. I don't have. I don't mean to be lukewarm about it, but it's just like it's not the worst Aaron Carter song I've ever heard. It's not the best. It's just kind of there.
Now, Will, what, pray tell, is the worst Aaron Carter song you've ever heard?
Well, it might be Crazy Little Party Girl because of how catchy it is and how also not good it is. It's like that was Aaron Carter's first album when he's like the squeakiest that he's ever been. Like little kid.
Anyway, as you were saying, sorry. I had to know your take on Saturday Night Party.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so they are making this video for $30. I gotta believe that there are a lot of artists out there who I bet you could make a really good music video for $30 or less, especially today with the technology we have.
Absolutely. Like, look at the music video for, like, Yellow by Coldplay. It's legendary. And it's just a guy walking down the beach.
Yeah, absolutely. So I feel like in the hands of the right person, i.e., not a child, you could do a pretty cool music video. Not to say that they do a bad job, but like this today, I feel like it's never been easier to make a cool video.
Will, I'll say it. I think they do a bad job.
Really? Wow. No mercy.
I do not like the music video they made.
Well, okay, so not only do they have to make it for $30, so they also assign Taylor's the director, Noah's the cameraman, and Brian is playback / choreographer.
By the way, not very balanced job work. Like, the director has to do a lot, and like as much like the seniors, spoilers, their grandparents show up.
They're the special guests.
The special guests, they think it's going to be some celeb, Ben Stiller. We talked about this, but it turns out it's just their actual grandparents. Pop is my favorite of all the grandparents.
Pop rules.
But the seniors actually, like, there's very few moments where they actually dance. So Brian's job is basically regulated to pressing play and stop on the music all afternoon, which is a far cry from, like, directing or filming the video. I feel like these tasks weren't really delineated in an even sense.
No, and it's especially like, when you're in a professional setting, a music video setting, there's definitely more than 3 jobs. So to kind of break it down into 3 is not, I imagine, wasn't the easiest thing to do. I will say throughout the course of this competition, I really got into Taylor as well. She became a favorite of mine. She's got some really funny lines. There's like when they are talking with the video director about like, what should we do? Like, what should be going on in the video? And they're going over the lyrics. And Taylor's like, when Aaron says, honeys that can't get enough of me, I think I should show up. And I was like, excellent. Taylor's going into business for herself. Anyway, Taylor's fun. And I would also be behind her if I were watching this whole season. So they speaking of which, thank God that they picked the kids to go do the music video who still have grandparents.
I know. I was thinking about the contract situation of, like, I couldn't help but think about, like, okay, so these kids probably signed on for a season. They had some sort of, like, child performance contract that they had to sign. And it's like the logistics of, like, they had to ensure that their grandparents would also be willing to do this. Because, like, what happens if, like, okay, episode 4, well, so I bet a whole season of Fetch with Ruffman is like the actual live action parts were probably filmed in like a week, right? Like they probably filmed the whole season in a very short amount of time, just like back to back to back.
I think it was like a month. I think Wikipedia was like they did it in a month.
Yeah, and that makes sense. But they had to have this episode already in mind and ensure that they would be able to get the grandparents and that the grandparents were willing to be on camera as a part of like this casting.
Oh, absolutely.
I was just thinking about the logistics of Fetch with Ruffman. It's almost more interesting than the show.
We might as well. So that's the whole deal. Is they have their grandparents and they bought all these props at like the local dollar store, which was kind of cute.
Great line. So they're looking at all these props, and this is a reoccurring joke throughout the episode. They buy a lot of Hawaiian like leis and stuff.
Like a kind of general party ephemera.
Yes, and Ruff calls them out for cultural appropriation. He says, it's kind of weird when you see those outside of Hawaii.
I missed that one. I forget. I have a line here from Taylor. I forget what it was in response to. It was like Ruff asking them to do something, and Taylor goes, Ruff, what is going on in that doggy little brain of yours? Yeah, they get to filming the music video, and it kind of it's pretty straightforward in terms of just showing what they're doing. And the kids back at the garage, which is kind of the home base for the show, is they kind of have to answer questions about stuff that's been on the show so far.
Yeah, and I was disappointed about this too because I was like, it's simple. It's just memorization questions. It's like, oh, like how many grandparents were there? Like at this point, like how many of this was that? And I was like hoping there'd be some sort of like, even if it's children's trivia, like some sort of trivia component. But alas, no. It was like I used to have a copy of Seinfeld Seen It. So it's like Seen It, but specifically Seinfeld. And much to my chagrin, like a lot of the questions would be like, watch this scene. And it's like, did you notice what was on the table? And I'm like, well, that's not what I want to answer questions about.
Right.
I want to know, I want to say, like, okay, what was Putty's favorite genre of music? It's like Christian rock.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's some of those, it can't help but feel like a little bit of a cheat sometimes. They're just like, well, I wasn't watching that. It's like, come on. What I wanted to say about the music video filming, I loved, it was Brian's grandmother, I think. And, for that part of the music video, it's basically one of the grandpas going around being like, hey, you want to come and party with me? And then Brian's grandmother, who's also very Boston, just goes, a honey. Like, and she has to do that like 3 times. It was really funny. I will also say that it was kind of funny over the course of the shoot. The grandparents steadily like learning more of the song, and by the end of it, they knew it like front to back.
Yeah, like they're like mouthing it perfectly. Like that was pretty funny.
They knew everything. Yeah, so and they filmed the music video. Also, big shout outs to my man Noah. They had the idea to do a dolly shot in a shopping cart, like DIY geniuses.
Yeah, Noah read Rebel Without a Crew, and he knows about guerrilla filmmaking.
Yeah, that was really cool, and big props to Noah for that one. And I believe, and they also give him some extra points at the end because he kind of went the extra mile with that one. And they filmed the music video. You get to watch a bit of the music video back at the garage, and yeah, it's not good. I mean, what am I supposed to say?
It as advertised. It does actually remind me of what sort of your end result music video would look like in Marky Mark Make My Video, especially with like all the weird like Windows Movie Maker filters. For some reason, like whenever it comes to amateurs making music video, they always want to make the colors negative for some reason, even though that's never something that shows up in a real life music video. Not once have I ever seen a real music video where it's like, and now the colors, it's all going to go negative now. But for some reason, whenever it's like amateur music videos, that happens constantly. Whether it's in Marky Mark Make My Video or this one.
Well, I'll tell you, I understand that that desire, that temptation, even because when I was in high school, I had a brief time making wrestling music videos, and once I discovered that you could do wacky things with color, I went a little nuts. I still have those on my computer. They're not. I still kind of like them. They're not great though. Ooh. So,
if you'd be willing to put any of those in the Discord, I would love to see them.
I'll see what I can do. Discord. I think you have to like pay for like Discord Premium in order to upload things beyond a certain size. So I don't know if I'd be willing to do that.
Make
but
it unlisted YouTube video, Will, and then give the listeners the link.
Yeah, maybe I might do that. I might just do that. Yeah, and so Noah and Taylor and Brian get like 95 points or something. It's like Gryffindor winning the House Cup. It's just like basically whatever. You get amount of points because they were arbitrarily chosen to go out for this one. And Noah gets, so this, I mean, this was all new to me, but apparently at the end of each episode, you get to take something from, there's like a little mailbox, and it's like a physical prize, like a tangible prize. And it could be either something good or something bad. And either you can take it or you can give it to someone else. And Noah won 2 movie passes.
Wow.
So, and this is what we talked about earlier. I love kids shows with tangible prizes. That's what, like, I remember I looked these up recently. There were kids' versions of Wheel of Fortune and Jep. I know we've talked about this on ECL before, Wheel 2000 and Jep, and it was like all based around physical prizes you could get, like Tiger Electronics games and like, bubble gum and crap like that. Or on Video and Arcade Top 10, if you've ever seen that show.
I was just going to bring up Video and Arcade Top 10, get a drum set from Yamaha, or like a digital watch, or like...
Which you can watch. You can watch so many episodes of that show, and I would absolutely recommend it. It's Toronto public access media at its very best from the 90s. Oh, I love it so much. But the most frustrating thing about watching those is that the kid who wins goes to the end. They have the prize wall, and he always gets the lamest prize. And it drives me crazy because, like, they never win the video game system. They never win the stereo from Yamaha. It's always like, oh, you win a remote control car. Great. That you can't even see. Like, it's never the ones you can physically see on the wall. I don't know why.
Yeah, I remember that show. That show is like, Yamaha was really the Kirkland of its day in that, like, they made jet skis and stereos and drum sets and like watches.
Oh man, it's so he gets that. He gets the movie passes. Also, Ruff makes the joke of, you could be the next Alfred Hitchcocker Spaniel. And I loved the nervous laugh when the kids had to be like, pretend to know who Alfred Hitchcock is. Like, kind of. And that's the end of an episode of Fetch with Ruffman. So how did this kind of strike you?
Like I said before off top, I was surprised by how witty I found the interaction, both the Ruffman segment at the top that's just kind of him, and also the interactions between him and the kids. The kids turn out, I don't know if it's the kids getting fed lines by the producers or if it's the kids just kind of being little starlets themselves, but the kids are fairly witty, and their wordplay and kind of quid pro quo with Ruffman is surprisingly funny. Everything else, I was really, really bored. Like the whole extended, like the last third of this episode is just them making the music video, and I was really bored during the whole thing.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because this episode was like 26 minutes long versus when we watch an Arthur episode, it's 22 max, and we're out of there. So you really feel the extra 4 minutes, I think, and it's also because like. If I had watched this, by the time this aired, I was like 15, and it was nowhere on my radar. I didn't know this existed until this was recommended in the Discord. I've talked before recently about how like I didn't think I was such a fan of live action media. So I don't know if this is something that I would have watched when I was a kid, but not for the fact that it's bad. I just don't think I would have kind of gravitated towards it. Watching it, it's actually a pretty well put together kind of thing. I imagine that making a game show for kids that doesn't have a set formula, like you look through the episode guide and it's like they're going to all kinds of places to do different types of stuff. This must have been like a nightmare to plan, and the logistics of getting like 10 to 12-year-olds to kind of go out and do all these challenges and stuff like this to get them to film over the course of a month must have been like a real headache. So I think they did a very good job.
It's funny that you were thinking about that so much too, because that is the real big takeaway for me. Is just like I was more fascinated with the production. I'd rather watch a documentary about putting together Fetch with Ruffman than I would actually want to watch Fetch with Ruffman.
Maybe we'll get that someday, like not about this show itself, but about production of various PBS kids shows. I think that would be really interesting, and you could definitely approach it from a really cool way. Please don't ask me to do it. I don't have the time. Somebody better than me can do that even better. So yeah, Fetch with Ruffman, not the worst kids game show I've ever seen, and that would probably be that there's a new version of the Game of Life. That's a game show for kids, and it's really, really boring.
I'm trying to think, man, kids game shows. Remember Carmen San Diego, Video Arcade Top 10.
I don't think I ever really watched it. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna watch some Video and Arcade Top 10 tonight.
I mean, I think we could both agree that the gold standard is indeed Uh-Oh. I've watched Uh-Oh recently, and it holds up. It's fantastic television.
You know what? Make it a double feature. It's funny. It took me a long time to come around to Uh-Oh. There was a few years when I'm like, I don't like this. And then it took me being like sick or there being nothing on TV for me to watch an episode and being like, oh, no, wait, I'm into this. I was wrong this whole time.
Listeners, if you're American, I highly, highly, highly recommend. The episodes are on YouTube, and they're in like St. John, New Brunswick. Like, it is crazy.
They were at Point Pleasant Park for one episode.
This is wild.
It's on also, I believe this is the same channel I was looking at before. I'm looking up an episode of Uh-Oh. It's on a channel called Keep It Weird, which might just be YTV's YouTube channel. So it's like as an official upload as you can get. Uh-Oh, check it out. And Video and Arcade Top 10, that's probably also something our American or international listeners have never encountered before. It's very nostalgic for me, so it might not hold the same kind of sway for you, but it's like this is kind of what video games and entertainment was at the time, and it's very, very charming. The low budgetness is part of the charm. So there you go, Fetch with Ruffman. It's like just such an odd curiosity, and I'm glad that we were able to talk about it. So I guess that means for the next episode, it's going to be my pick.
That's right. Do you already have a show in mind, Will?
I do. I have this whole time. So once again, for this PBS Kids podcast, thank you very much for contributing to our Patreon and listening to the show. If you have any comments, you can leave them in the ECL Discord or on the comments below the episode. So
and please, people, we need a name. We need a name, people.
We do need a name. I've still been thinking about it. Sometimes names come to me really quick, and other times it's really difficult. This has really been challenging me. We did get a couple of suggestions on the Discord. They were a bit postcards from Buster centric, so I want to open it up to PBS in general. So please, if you have any ideas, let us know. We'd love to hear from you about that. So. We also would like to have your suggestions for episodes to watch from whatever we're going to be covering the next time on the PBS Kids podcast. And this is one that I've been trying to get us to do since the show began. So since the first time that we did was we did Zabooma Dudes first,
Correct.
right?
It was Zabooma Dudes and then Cyber Chase.
Cyber Mates.
That's right.
Oh,
yes. So Zabooma Dudes was the official podcast name, and then Cyber Mates, which was the one where we talked about Cyber Chase, and now we've done Postcards from Buster and Fetch with Ruffman.
So when we did, I think it must have been Cyber Mates. When we did Cyber Mates, the idea was that we would do it every April Fools, and we didn't stick with that for various reasons. But I knew exactly what I wanted to do for the year after that, so that we're gonna do it now. So next time on Patreon, the PBS Kids podcast is going to turn into Telebuddies.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, baby. Do you want to hear all about how embarrassingly I was into Teletubbies? Do you want to know how I was living the Love Ducks episode of Arthur? I will talk all about that next time. You're going to hear it all. It was a wild time.
You want to hear my theory about how Nunu is actually the protagonist of the show and the Teletubbies themselves are the villains? It's all going to be on next time on the Patreon exclusive PBS podcast.
So if you have any specific suggestions on Teletubby episodes for us to watch, if there's one in the episode guide that looks like fun, if there's one that features Nunu so we can hear from Lucas about that, let us know in the Discord or on the comments below. And thank you very much for checking out our Patreon exclusive PBS Kids podcast. This has been a lot of fun to do. And I personally can't wait to talk about Teletubbies. That's going to be a hoot. So for the PBS Kids podcast, we will see you the next time on either ECL or here on the Patreon. I'm Will Young, and for Lucas Mancini.
Oh, didn't we come up with the tradition last episode? Oh, jeez.
We did, didn't we?
Oh, no, but it's like I've completely forgotten what it was.
We're still in the primordial stages, and I just can't help but devolve back to the ECL thing. Okay, I remember what I did. Lucas, before we go, do you have anything else?
Oh, did I have what did I say, Will? What was it?
No. I'm just asking generally.
Oh.
I'm just setting up. I remembered how we ended it now.
Oh no, I have nothing else. Go take the floor.
Okay, so for Lucas Mancini, I'm Will Young, and that was PBS.
How could I have forgotten those sultry tones?
I bet Arthur doesn't have to deal with stuff like this.